Hi everybody, greetings from southern Poland. So we're out and about today on a beautiful sunny day. I'm out with Sabina and Max actually. Max has a few days off school as the older children have their exams at the moment. So we're out and about and we're exploring some places close to home, and first of all we're here in Wadowice, which is a very famous town in Poland. It's the birthplace of one of the most famous Poles, Karol Wojtyła, who of course the world knew as Pope John Paul II. So it's an amazing story because he was born here in this small town at the foothill of the Beskid Mountains, not too far from where we live, in 1920. And it's amazing that a boy from a small town really in the middle of nowhere in southern Poland went on to become, of course, the leader of the Catholic Church as Pope, but also a figure who was an instrumental political figure, and particularly when we consider the fall of communism here in Poland and in Eastern Europe during the course of the 1980s. He was absolutely instrumental in that. So we're having a little bit of a walk around today. Behind me is at the other end of the square here is the Church of the Blessed Virgin Mary, where he was baptized. This is where his life began. This is where he lived his first 18 years, right next door to the church actually. The small orange house is the house that he grew up in with his parents, with his brother Edmund. There were many tragedies associated with the early years of the life of Karol Wojtyła, and amongst those were the death of his brother and the death of his mother while giving birth to his sister and his sister as well. So by the time he turned 18, he went to school here in Wadowice, did all of his schooling here, started his acting here, and of course started his road to the priesthood here as well. Until he turned 18, he lived here with his father, and at the age of 18 he moved to Krakow, of course, where his career took off, and that was in 1938, just 1 year before the outbreak of the Second World War, of course. And Wadowice is one of the places too, which will feature on our Country Roads of Poland trip with Insight Vacations next spring, in spring 2022. So it's one of the great off the beaten path destinations that we'll visit. So we'll have a little bit of a look around, and then I'll show you some of the other off the beaten path destinations we'll visit too. We're very close to where we live here, so we'll be exploring this area of the Beskid area, the Beskid region, and some of the small towns and villages. So enjoy. Let's go and have a look. So we've just left Wadowice after our cream cake, and we've pulled in here Another one of the beautiful lakes in the area that we live in, this one is called Lake Mucharskie, which it's made from the Skava River. So the Skava River flows into it from the south, from the Beskid Mountains, and we can just see some of the low Beskids there, or the small Beskids I should say, behind us. And then via the dam, the Skava creates this lake. Eventually it flows through Wadowice that we've just come from. The Skava was the favourite swimming place of Karol Wojtyła before he became Pope John Paul II in his youth, in his early years. So we're going to continue on south, heading back towards our place, and we're going to stop in at the town of Sucha, Beskidzka. Well, we've just made a stop in the town of Sucha, Beskidzka, which is another of the really beautiful little towns of the Beskid region. At the foothills again of the small Beskids and the Beskid Żywiecki. So the Beskids are a big chain of mountains, and we have many smaller ranges within them. But this is a beautiful little market town. My mother-in-law was born here, so was the American film producer, director and screenwriter Billy Wilder, of the golden age of cinema in Hollywood, of course. Some Like It Hot and Sunset Boulevard. He was born here during the time that this was a part of Austrian Galicia, so back before the reformation of the Polish state before 1918. But a real highlight of this town, and another highlight of the region, is the castle, Renaissance castle of Sucha Beskidzka, so built during the middle of the 16th century, the 1500s, and it belonged to a succession of local noble families. During the First World War, it housed a hospital of the Polish Red Cross, and since the Second World War, it's belonged to the commune of Sucha Beskidzka. So, another really nice highlight on the region that we live in, and this area that we'll explore during our Country Roads of Poland trip in spring of 22. So anyway, we're going to go and pick up Matylda from preschool, and we're going to go and explore some of the famous wooden buildings, wooden architecture, old wooden houses of this Beskid area. So we're here at the Żywiec Ethnographic Park, Ethnographic Village. So the region that we're in, of course, is Żywiec, and we're in the Beskid Żywiecki mountain area now, which is exactly where we live. This village actually is called Ślemian, and it's just a 5-10 minute drive from our house. And I always love visiting these ethnographic villages because they give you a real idea of how people lived not too long ago, and in fact how many people still do live in traditional settings and villages like this area that we're in. Lots of hands-on stuff for the kids. Max and Matylda are over here now playing with the well, and some really great examples of the wooden architecture of this region, and beautifully furnished with all of the fittings and the traditional kitchens and the sewing rooms and houses that are built for both people and animals. And as I said, this is the not too distant past, and in fact many people still today living this way. So we'll go for a walk around, and again, this is something that I very much look forward to introducing our Insight Vacation travellers to on our Country Roads of Poland trip in spring 2022. We'll go and take a look around some of these traditional wooden houses.
żeby się to zesły, to by ognia dały. Nie staraj się, Jasiu, ze ciebie do strasą, hej, bo się ubroniska twoje wołki pasą, hej, bo się ubroniska twoje wołki pasą.
Very, very solid structures. Traditionally, they made their homes of the local wood, so pine and spruce. Of course, in the past, that was what people living down here in the mountains, here in the Carpathians, had an abundance of. So many of them were farmers, sheep farmers, farming the sheep for the milk, an abundance of wood. And many of these buildings in places like here in the Beskids and further across in the Tatra were constructed without the use of nails. You see here they fit together almost like a puzzle, and the in between each piece, each board, we have almost this rope-like insulation which is made from the shavings of the pine or the spruce. So of course these days this is the most expensive way to build a new home. They still do build beautiful homes of wood like this, but these days with modern techniques and materials, traditional methods like these are much more expensive. But we still have villages, people living like this in houses like this in the villages, and it's great that we can come here and visit such a great ethnographic village like this one to see how the people lived not too long ago.
Milowscy chłopcy, wszyscy sykowni do bitki. Bili się wczoraj w sobotę wieczór do rana. Przy każdym stała dziewczyna cała spłakana. Przy każdym stała dziewczyna cała spłakana. Nie bij się, Jasiu, nie bij się, Jasiu, nie bij się. Mostu piwecko, mostu winecko napij się. Mostu winecko napij się.
Nie chcę piwecka ani winecka, gorzkie jest. Przez ciebie jedna dziewczyna biedna bitka jest.
Przez ciebie jedna dziewczyna biedna bitka jest.
Mojemu tacie ukradli gacie złodzieje. Tym się mój tata na stare lata łodzieje.
Tym się mój tata na stare lata łodzieje.
Ale są jecho!
So the last stop on our little tour through the region today is here. It's our own Church of Saint Onge, 500 years old, heritage listed church, which actually 500 years old but hasn't been here in the village for 500 years. More than 2 centuries ago they moved it down here from the neighbouring village of Rikwald. And of course it's the centre of town. It's where all of the major occasions, Christmas and Easter, are celebrated. Kids were baptised here, we were married here, and very much worthwhile taking a look around. So I'll show you a little bit around the church and then it's time to go and buy some ice cream. So I hope you've enjoyed the tour around. Remember to subscribe, to my channel to stay in touch, to subscribe to my page, onceuponatimeincrakow.com. And remember that in spring of 2022, myself and Insight Vacations, great springtime country roads of Poland, which will visit all of these things which we've seen today, as well as all of the highlights of Poland. And of course, our regular Polish trips, highlights of Poland, highlights of Eastern Europe. Looking forward to seeing our travellers and guests here again in Poland very soon. So take care. Bye for now.